Hi, so
Hi guys.
I think we're live. Yes. Let me just.
We should always be before time, so it's fine.
Cool. So I think there are 8 people here now. So let's just start with a basic discussion about the personality test.
Right.
I think echo थोड़ा थोड़ा कुछ solve कर लेते हैं और क्या हो रहा है? Now that is better.
Yeah, this is fine. Echo must be because of.
Yeah, phone का भी था फिर I think पीछे side में एक वो भी था. So anyhow. So, hello everyone. We have Shashank with us again
Hi.
here today as the Cadre expert, as the legal expert with all the insights about how you can make mistakes and what you should avoid doing.
Well, I don't like me to be, called as an expert. Rather, let's say that I am that facilitator who'll try and resolve all the queries with regards to cadre as well as reservation, OBC, EWS, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And even scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Because few people are having some problems with regards to the certificate of SC/ST also.
Okay.
So, I'm open to questions.
So, we'll give priority to questions related to personality test. Obviously, we'll try and take up other questions as well. But
Sure.
The idea is कि if you have any doubts related to reservation, the documents related to reservation, what you have to upload, what you need to do, या फिर DAF में जैसे हॉबीज का आपका सेक्शन होता है या स्कॉलास्टिक अचीवमेंट्स का आपका सेक्शन है या लीडरशिप पोजीशंस वाला जो सेक्शन है
Co-curricular activities, hobbies, leadership, positions held,
एंड प्राइजेस एंड स्कॉलरशिप
prizes. Hobbies is a most discussed, debated, and it's that fun section which people are quizzing among themselves also. Acha, I must share one trend here, before we go in details of other things, before we structure our today's session.
conversation.
Yeah. So in hobbies, this year, a lot of people have been asking me, web series bhar dein sir? Because to me, it can be an option, but you must, specifically point out to some genre or some specifics. Another thing with web series is that's a new phenomenon, especially triggered by COVID.
Yeah.
Now everybody watches it, but still, I will still prefer that guys should be a little more specific with even web series. You can't just simply say web series.
So I think that goes,
Watching web series.
That goes with all hobbies. So hobbies के लिए कुछ basic tests हैं अपने. One of the tests because for hobbies simple checklist आपका ये होना चाहिए. Number 1 is something you should be doing. Don't try and fake a hobby.
No, not at all.
घुड़सवारी नहीं करते तो इम्प्रेस करने के लिए किसी को नहीं लिखना क्योंकि वो घुड़सवारी सवाल पूछ लेंगे तुमसे नहीं हो पाएगा. ठीक है. दूसरी चीज कि you should be comfortable to a depth with your hobby,
Right.
because a hobby is something that you're apparently doing every day. And one of the easiest simplest tests for choosing a good hobby is कि पिछले 1-1.5 महीना आप जो खाली थे मेंस के बाद क्या कर रहे थे? What was the thing that you're doing most? Were you going to the gym? Were you playing a sport? Were you watching a web series? It is fine if you write a web series, but सिर्फ वेब सीरीज मत लिख दो या मतलब it will be something like watching Netflix. You are not watching Netflix, you are watching something on Netflix. Netflix also knows what kind of things that you like. So give the board a talking point.
Yeah, that is what it is.
I like thrillers.
So increase the engagement with some specific, and third element will be you should defend that. You should be able to defend that. It's not that you come up with a hobby and you're unable to spell it.
So it will be like कि आपसे पूछा गया कि आप thriller web series देखते हैं and what was the last thriller web series that you watched?
Right.
And you're like I can't recall. So that's a bad impression.
That's a big fumble.
Right.
Well, Jatin is asking a question specific to OBC creamy layer. Address is not an issue, Jatin. If you have a OBC NCL valid certificate, that should do it. Address change is not a big problem, not an issue.
Smriti is also asked, can I apply for EWS at the time of mains? Actually, that is something that you have to do at the time of filling the form. And if you've not applied for EWS at the time of filling the form, so it can become you won't be able to change that later on, right?
Age, there's a question regarding age. A lot of people have cleared it at 34, 35, and few categories have those exemptions. So it is perfectly okay. Obviously, you can that can happen only in few categories. a particular person, creative Karnataka, whatever the name is, was asking a query regarding interview and age at interview. That's not a problem. They might ask you, okay, what were you doing until now, or where were you? You were engaged in some other profession. Why it took so much of time? That might be a query. You should be able to answer.
So always remember that when you're giving the personality test, one of the things, एक बहुत सिंपल सी चीज आपको ये करनी है, फट्टे जब नहीं मारते हो तो दूसरा आपको कंफर्टेबल भी होना है. ऐसा भी जवाब मत दो जो आप मतलब सही है, सच है, बट थोड़ा टेढ़ा है कि कुछ अटक रहा है कहीं. आप उस चीज के बारे में बात ज्यादा करने की कोशिश करो जिसके बारे में आप कंफर्टेबल हो. लाइक फॉर इंस्टेंस somebody has asked कि मेरा इस बार इंटरव्यू है, आई एम वाचिंग, प्लीज रिप्लाई, आई एम वाचिंग यू सिंस 2016 से तो मैं ऑनलाइन हो ही नहीं, तो मतलब तुमने कहाँ देख लिया. राइट. So Anil Kumar has a very genuine question. What if we don't have medals in sports etc. and we keep the whole section empty? नहीं है ना. अगर नहीं मेडल है, और ये बहुत सिंपल सी बात आप एक ध्यान रखो कि आपकी क्लास स्कूल में जो होती थी, कॉलेज में जो होती थी, 90% लोगों के पास नहीं होते थे मेडल. मत लिखो. It's okay. It's completely
so
fine.
Here I am share a little different opinion. I'm not saying fake it up, but see, medals, they are not strictly asking when the medal was given. It can be in some other sense. You might be going to a quiz to some other institution. You might have won that. So medals, quiz, and it's a particular whole lot of section is there.
That is fine.
Which includes other activities as well. So ideally, don't leave anything empty until you are forced to. You don't have anything which you have done in your whole of your school and college life.
So
otherwise,
in that sense,
put up something at least.
Agreed कि कुछ भी किया है, कहीं भी किया है, be it in school, be it in college, in some club that you went to, outside college.
Even if you've not won any medal, you can simply say that took part in so many activities, A, B, C, never won a medal, that's fine. But at least then you are coming up with an answer that you have not won a medal, still you took part. Taking part is what is more important than winning medals. And you can have a great answer to it. Sir, I tried and I was improving in my school time. I was not that great, not serious, whatever. But I thought to put it here because I just wanted that everybody should know that yes, I was trying, I was taking part. I have not won. That is how it is. It's such a good answer.
Yeah.
So that thing is required. You should be fluidic with your personality, and
and most always be comfortable with your personality. क्यों? क्योंकि आपने लिख दिया तो अब आपसे सवाल आएंगे, and if you're able to defend it like that, this is something that I've been constantly improving at, this is something that I've been doing. Okay.
So in writing a blog can be a hobby. Why not? Yes.
Blogging is a hobby. Actually, it's a great hobby. Writing a blog is a hobby. What type of questions should I prepare? I write my opinion on social issues. So Rajat, बहुत सिंपल सी चीज है. अगर आप राइटिंग अ ब्लॉग के बारे में बात कर रहे हो ना, तो आपसे पूछा जाएगा कि भाई आपके लास्ट 3-4 पोस्ट क्या थे. If they're on some particular topics, then those topics become open for questioning. So be prepared to that extent. Ki let's say you've said ki you like to write on social issues. So they'll ask you simply, what were the last 3 social issues that you're concerned about, and what is the most common social issue that you write about? And then you should know in depth about those social issues because you're writing on them. तो राइटिंग अ ब्लॉग आप लिखते हो,
अच्छा,
तो सेकंड डिग्री थर्ड डिग्री तक आपको ये तैयारी रख के चलनी है.
So we can break it like this. See, writing a blog on social issues. So basically it's writing, creative writing. Now writing can be of different types. It's analytical writing, it's factual, you're just coming up with the facts, you're analyzing. So basically it's creative writing. Then what type, what genre, what you're into. Then you've already identified the subject, that is social issues. So then, okay, what are social issues? Social issues for a particular society, for a region, for a country. So you can go macro and we can come down to basics. And then blogging as a platform. So you are using IT, you're using technology as a kind of frontal space where you're using that space to come out with your skill set on social issues. So always break up a particular, whatever the sentence, whatever the hobbies.
Go into more details.
So that you can then go into the layering aspect, the details, and then cover it up analytically.
एंड जितना ज्यादा इसको इस तरीके से समझो कि जितना ज्यादा आपके हॉबी में डिटेल होगी, उतना ज्यादा कैचिंग एबिलिटी है उस हॉबी की. क्योंकि राइटिंग अगर आप सिर्फ लिख देते हो तो इट्स वेरी ब्रॉड, रीडिंग आप सिर्फ लिख देते हो वेरी ब्रॉड, But let's say you write reading biographies of historical figures. Well, like obviously biographies historical figures की रहेंगी, but you can write reading fantasy novels, reading fiction, reading non-fiction. So it becomes more catching because then they can ask you what non-fiction, what genre of fantasy. तो इस तरीके से आपको थोड़ा explain करते हुए चलना है. So let's just take a couple of questions.
Biographies have also evolved these days. We are seeing biographies of living persons. And biographies of so many celebrities, like a sports person, a person.
Memoirs बोलते हैं उनको.
Yeah. There'll be that finite distinction, but people are using biographical.
Film बन रही है धोनी पे तो.
बिल्कुल. So there are one or two interesting questions. That how should somebody defend graduation from an open university? Obviously, nobody will do graduation from an open university until there was some circumstance. Your own peculiar circumstance should be used to defend that.
Exactly.
You should not copy that. Why you did that? Why you chose an open university? It might be out of compulsion. It might be that you were in some job. You're in dearth of money, so you had to be employed. Or it might be that simply you choose so. You felt that, why should I bound myself with timings and discipline when I can learn more outside world? So the choice is yours. Whatever your reason was, should be the reason.
आपको
should be your defense.
लेके जाना चाहिए, क्योंकि यहाँ पे देखो ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी से किया है तो you're at a disadvantage or anything of that sort. क्यों? क्योंकि यूपीएससी को बस एक डिग्री चाहिए.
That's it.
That is your qualification. अगर आपके पास डिग्री है, आपने ओपन से करी है, आपने कहीं से करी है, नहीं फर्क पड़ता. आप उसके बारे में खुद कॉन्शियस मत होइए. रादर अगर आपसे पूछा जाता है तो जेन्युइन सवाल दीजिए कि भाई लेट्स से फॉर इंस्टेंस जैसे मेरे से एक बार पूछ लिया था कि भाई आपने सिविल इंजीनियरिंग क्यों चूज करी. मेरा बहुत जेन्युइन रीजन था कि भाई मैंने नहीं चूज करी, मेरी रैंक पे मेरे को सिविल इंजीनियरिंग मिली इसलिए मैं सिविल इंजीनियर हूं.
हाँ, so there was an answer to it.
Right. तो ऐसा
and an honest answer to it.
हाँ, so that is what you have to bring. कि there were some circumstances, there were some reasons for why it happened, so be okay with that. And I'm from Andhra Pradesh, but in other state it is not valid. Okay. Participation mention कर सकते हैं. So Ankita, you can mention participation, but again, अगर achievements में आप लिख रहे हो, so for instance prizes and scholarship में prefer करो अगर आपके पास कोई भी medal है या कोई भी certificate है तो उससे lead करो. But अगर कुछ नहीं है तो then you can talk about कि this is a sport that you've been participating in for like consistent period of time. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि दो बार participate किया और फिर वो लिख रहे हो. Right?
So there are two questions: justifying gap in preparation, and there's another one that justifying why you left your profession and now you're coming for civil services. Very, very common questions. Abhijit, you can throw light. So justify करना है क्यों गए खड्डे में वो 3-4 साल.
अब again I feel that this is यहाँ पे बहुत genuine सा आपका आंसर होना चाहिए ना कि भाई यूपीएससी की तैयारी कर रहे थे, नहीं होता एक बारी में. उनको भी पता है, उनके सामने से ही आते हैं वो लोग सारे, तो ऐसा नहीं है कि आपने गड्ढे में डाल दिया सब कुछ. आप तैयारी कर रहे थे जेन्युइन, यू मेड सम एफर्ट, कहीं अटक गए, कभी मेंस में अटक गए या प्रीलिम्स में अटक गए, यू मेड इट टू द इंटरव्यू नाउ, सो यू वर पुटिंग इन सम एफर्ट. एट द सेम टाइम यू कैन ऑल्सो टॉक अबाउट कि भाई यूपीएससी के अलावा आप वहां कुछ और कर रहे थे, तो बिकॉज दैट शोज कि सिर्फ यूपीएससी ही मतलब हमारी दुल्हन नहीं है. एंड
in this you should be honest, as you
very
said.
honest,
as you should. Dulhan/dulhad both. Because
yeah, so always try to be honest कि आपको गैप ईयर जो है एम्प्लॉयमेंट के टाइम पे मे बी आप जाते हो ना, जबकि जॉब इंटरव्यू देने जाते हो, देन यू माइट हैव टू एक्सप्लेन कि व्हाट वर यू डूइंग, गैप क्या है, बिकॉज दे वांट टू कट डाउन ऑन योर पैकेज. यहाँ पे आपका पे फिक्स्ड है. दे विल आस्क यू सिंपली कि आर यू कंफर्टेबल अबाउट शेयरिंग कि you took some time getting here. Like for instance, it took me 3 attempts to get to the interview.
Right.
3 साल तो निकल गए ना वही, मतलब 3 साल के पहले 1 साल और लगा जो तैयारी कर रहे थे, 3-4 साल तो ऐसे ही निकल गए. तो अब क्या बोलूं, टाइम लग रहा था, मतलब
you can simply say कि I gave 2 attempts, that's how, and I realized it took me some time to understand. It's fine. Attempts and gap is not a big deal, but you should be able to answer. Now you get flabbergasted, shocked, surprised. Oh sir, I don't know. You're like sitting, not making an eye contact, just somehow avoiding that or getting embarrassed. Then it is a problem. If you're able to speak smoothly and come out with some reply, then that itself is a justification. The reply must reflect the truth and honesty, obviously.
So what is the status of Gorkha community in UPSC? I'm not really sure. ये तो मतलब ये हर स्टेट की लिस्ट आती है, ये सेंटर की लिस्ट आती है. UPSC will prefer the central list, right?
What? Yeah, for
OBC reservation.
For OBC reservation, central list is the only list which UPSC will consider. Non-creamy layer central list that is available on the website of National Commission of Backward Classes, NCBC. On that, every state-wise, the caste which are there in the central list are mentioned.
So, Nudrat has asked कि what meditation as a hobby? What I'm assuming that is what about meditation. आप लिखो.
Yes, meditation can be.
Definitely लिखो, but फिर आपसे सवाल आएगा कि what kind of meditation, तो वो आपको पता होना चाहिए.
Mindfulness, or there are various types.
There are multiple types of meditation. So आप कौन सा practice करते हो, क्या फायदे होते हैं, right? So all of these things you should be aware of if you're writing of something as a hobby.
What you gained, since how long, how it helped, how can it help you when you will be a civil servant, what do you understand by it, how you practiced it, which books are great. There can be anything.
Yeah.
And always there's one surprise question which also sometimes meditation spelling batao. You speak of anything and they'll one of the board members is like, okay, spell it, just to shock you. So in that, even if you don't know or if you're not able to remember at that time, because sometimes we all can fumble.
We can fumble.
You should you should plain simply say, "Ha sir, ek minute, it's fine. Sir, meko bhi yaad nahi aaya. I just got lost in it. But sir, I'll just write it down." You should come up with something.
Pen and paper.
Yes.
They will always give you a pen and paper. कि कभी-कभार ऐसा होता है. It happens with me a lot कि if you ask me a spelling, एकदम से नहीं याद आएगी. But if I write it, I will write it down correctly.
Yes.
So you can do that in the exam hall. जब आप पैनल के सामने बैठे होगे, आपको एक पेन एंड पेपर पैड दिया जाएगा, तो आप वहां पे लिख के फिर उनको बता सकते हो. And even if you don't recall it, you can simply say, "I cannot recall at this time." That is.
And this spelling type of question is also sometimes asked about your own details. What's your height? Now that comes in suddenly, like
it's a shock.
It's a shock element, and they do that just to, or like there is or situation type questions also they ask just to put you in that situation, put you in that stress scenario, and then.
So Parul has asked कि what to do if I have no hobby. So देखो Parul, एक बहुत सिंपल सी चीज आपको समझनी है यहाँ पे. आपको लग रहा होगा ऐसा कि कोई हॉबी नहीं है, but a very simple test for what could be a hobby for you is after mains. मेंस हुआ था हमारा जनवरी में, राइट? दिस इज नाउ मिडिल और लेट मार्च. 2 महीने में what was the most frequent thing that you did with your day?
And the activity which took your maximum time apart from studies, not only let's increase the time period, not only post mains, we can also go into about hobby in a different way. Pre-preparation era.
Exactly.
What was the thing you used to love and like and do it as activity apart from studying, apart from the academics? That can be your hobby. You can put it like that.
So,
but identify, do try and identify, Parul. So don't say that I don't have any hobby. I'm a blank person. I don't know. I don't wish to do any activity. It gives a negative impression.
So in that, very simple test can be कि आपको hi-fi hobby नहीं चाहिए. आप बहुत simple चीजें भी यहाँ लिख सकते हो. Things like कि I like going for walks. I like looking at birds. Well, some people like interacting.
But it should not be a stroll on the street types. It should be a hobby that, okay, walking I developed, and there should be some science, some reason, some activity to walking also. There should be some brainstorming about it.
So अब बहुत सिंपल सी चीज कि अगर वॉकिंग लिखा है तो वॉकिंग के बारे में फिर थोड़ा आपको पता होना चाहिए कि भाई क्या उसके हेल्थ बेनिफिट्स हैं. मतलब
क्यों करते हैं वॉकिंग
बेहतर है या स्लो वॉकिंग बेहतर है, और लाइक तो इस सब
चीजों के बारे में. So it can be walking acted as a breather exercise plus a mental breather for you. So you used to think, so sir, I combined 2 things. You can give sir or madam whatever. I combined these 2 things, and my walking was not a plain simple walking. It occurred to me that okay, this is the activity which gives me space, exercise, fitness, whatever angle you can bring in, but do bring in some angle and do have some hobby. You all have. It's not that we are unable to identify.
So on that note, if you are having some difficulty in identifying a hobby and DAF में आपको दिक्कत आ रही है, hobby भरने में कुछ issue हो रहा है, So there's a form that is pinned in the comment section below this video. You can just simply fill the form and you can get in touch with either of us. We'll help you try and figure out कि भाई मतलब what is the best way to put forward जो भी चीज आप यहाँ पे दर्शाना चाह रहे हो.
And that's true for even other DAF related aspects, DAF-I, II, both.
Yeah. So I think काफी सारी चीजें चली गई.
Oh, we missed a lot of questions. Just
Amrut
wait.
has asked, what if I opted for only one zone? So for this,
So can you you have to fill all the zones and all the you can't have you tried, Amrit, filling all the zones and all the cadres? You have to fill you can't escape, you can't skip, right?
So earlier there used to be this whole option of कि
99 and
skip
0
कर
and
सकते
all of
हो.
that.
तो वो अब हट गया है. You have to compulsorily fill.
Who has tried filling the whole of zones and the states? Few people must have, right?
Right, so we'll get that in the chat when we scroll down. But
right.
So Sach has asked, can I mention my CAT percentile and gate rank in DAF? If you mention it, please be clear कि आपसे फिर उस पे सवाल आएंगे कि भाई इस रैंक पे क्या मिलता है, इस रैंक से क्या होता है, इतनी परसेंटाइल में क्या होता है, व्हाट डज परसेंटाइल मीन, राइट. एकदम बेसिक से एकदम एडवांस सवाल, आप जो भी चीज लिखते हो उस पे आपको तैयार करके रखना है.
So one another very common query, sir, can I write this? My second question straight is, if you write this, you are inviting few more questions. Be prepared.
Exactly.
It's not about writing more. It's not, mains is over, भूल जाओ. अभी लिखना क्यों है बार बार इतना सारा? We have to be pointed and specific. We need not write more. We can describe about ourselves in very less also. That is the way we should be. Very simple.
So Amrut, you're from South India. You cannot opt for a single zone. So Amrut is basically not for PT this year, but the idea is कि जो cadre policy है जिसमें zones बनाए गए हैं, तो that is entirely designed to move people around. Right. साउथ वालों को नॉर्थ भेजो, नॉर्थ वालों को साउथ भेजो, ईस्ट को वेस्ट भेजो, वेस्ट को ईस्ट, सबको घुमाने के लिए ही वो पॉलिसी बनाई गई है. And for that reason, you cannot skip anything.
See, that is the major difference between civil services of India and the state services. You're not here to get into a state. You're here to serve the nation wherever you're posted.
So, Ankita has asked, is NCL similar to general? What is the benefit of mentioning it if it is not getting the reservation? So, NCL is not similar to general. OBC creamy layer is treated as general. OBC creamy अगर आप mention करते हो तो that is treated as general, but then again कि I agree कि not much point in mentioning it. आप non creamy mention करते हो, so you do get benefit of some reservation over there. So
few people are asking that if they've changed their board or somehow the board got changed in 10th to 12th, that's not an issue, not a problem. Not a problem at all. By board they mean that CBSC, ICSC, state board. That's not an issue.
So Creative Karnataka has a very tough question ki terminated by management. So if you have any case pending in the courts while you're appearing for personality test, they will ask you.
No, so civil labor case is not an issue, but pending criminal cases they will ask.
Okay, civil cases they don't.
Civil cases it's fine. Like suppose somebody
bang my car, something happens. It can happen.
Bang car will have to see how the car got banged and how badly.
Like obviously, assuming ki
so civil cases are not
a problem.
Simple, not a problem.
Civil cases not a problem. DAF फॉर्म में पूरा फिल करना होता है ना. मेरे फादर आर्म्ड फोर्सेस में हैं, सर्जेंट रैंक पे, बिलो कर्नल हैं, सैलरी 9 लाख per year. I have this doubt. So Deepak,
salary is not counted for armed force or for any category for that matter. You're eligible. Deepak was the name. You're eligible, Deepak, and if your father is not above colonel, so he's fine. You're good to go. You're non-creamy.
Okay. How old should the OBC certificate be for filling the UPSC form? So same year, जिस साल का फॉर्म है उस साल में आपका, जब आपने फॉर्म भरा है तो आपका सर्टिफिकेट वैलिड होना चाहिए. दैट इज द ओनली क्राइटेरिया. अब जनरली सर्टिफिकेट इज वैलिड फॉर 1 year, राइट. तो जब भी आप फॉर्म भर रहे हो उस पॉइंट पे आपका सर्टिफिकेट वैलिड होना चाहिए. अगर उसके बाद आपको अपडेट करने की रिक्वायरमेंट हुई कि जैसे आजकल सर्टिफिकेट्स की वैलिडिटी इज 1 year. सो इफ आई हैव टू टेक एन एग्जांपल, लेट्स से आपने 31 जून को सर्टिफिकेट बनवाया है, तो अगले साल 31 जून 2023 तक आपका सर्टिफिकेट वैलिड रहेगा. 2023 का फॉर्म अगर फरवरी में खुलता है तो then you will have to make a new certificate. Do people have to show medals if they write? So
You can't choose your home cadre. You have to fill the preferences. Cadre can choose you. You cannot choose the cadre, even if you want to. You might be rank 1. Even then, you might not get your cadre because there is something called insider outsider vacancies also. There is a fixed number of ratio which UPSC decides, and they are meant for that particular state's insider post. Then there are outsider posts. Among that also there is reservation. So it's a very, very tricky permutation combination formula, and nobody can predict it. Before giving the exam, simply that's not possible. You can't predict it. The event has not happened.
And another thing is that sometimes it may happen that your state may not have any vacancy for IAS or IPS or a post. For instance, let's say there are 50 people from Haryana who got selected, but there are only 3 posts from Haryana. So only 3 people can possibly get Haryana.
True.
And even they may not be the Haryanvis who are getting Haryana. So cadre is something of a tricky issue. So do people have to show the medals if they write? So
show medals,
you have to give some proof, but at the time of the personality test, I don't think anybody was.
No proof is required.
Medals.
No proof is required. No. Even some proof, no proof is required.
Well, all your documents will be verified. Your 10th mark sheet, 12th mark sheet, your
That's it.
Graduation certificate.
Medals will not be. Nobody is checking your certificates. They are assuming you are coming for services. You've given mains. You've given the paper of ethics. They are assuming that you're honest enough. Nobody is thinking that you'll come and come out with 10 lies.
Is there any criteria for choosing home state? So home state is based.
You can't choose that.
नहीं, domicile पे based है कि आपका जो address आपने दिया है, that is the state.
No, so you can't choose any state because come on, there is a policy. You have to fill the zones, you have to fill the states, and it will get allocated to you as per your rank and your category, and depending on insider and outsider availability of post. So obviously you can't choose the cadre. Cadre can choose you, and cadre will choose you. Come what may.
So isme I think one thing that UPSC asks you beforehand is कि either your home state, home cadre is your first preference, meaning कि आपका, let's say like I'm from Haryana, I'll take that example कि Haryana is in the north zone. So in the north zone you have Himachal, Haryana, Punjab, UP, Uttarakhand, right? Used to be JNK, but JNK is no longer there.
Abhijit, but you can fill in your cadre as a first preference.
That's it.
But what you will get is
agreed, not in your hand, but when you're filling the preferences, so that's what you can do. You can give in your home cadre for your first preference. But then that means that zone 1 Haryana will be your first preference overall. You may get it, not, that is something different. But on the other hand, there is the option that you can choose some other state as the first preference. For instance, let's say I'm from Haryana, I choose Maharashtra as my first preference for the cadre. In that case, I will never be assigned to Haryana come what may. That is also part of the policy ki either you choose your home cadre as your first preference or you don't get your home cadre. Right. And so I've been moving places since childhood. How to prep about native district and what about current place? So Nishal, very simply put, जो भी आपके DAF में locations आएंगी ना, DAF में there'll be 3-4 locations. One location will be where is your father born. One location will be where is your mother born. Where did you do your schooling from? Where are you currently? So ये 3-4 locations is what you have to prepare. And if you go and say in the personality test interview that I've been moving all around, they might ask you where have you been moving. So don't do that if you're not comfortable answering those questions. Okay, so
gold medal for India in sports at international level, it won't fetch in. There is no provision that if you have won a medal, you will get a particular XYZ additional marks. There is no provision for that in UPSC IAS exam. So it's an added advantage, you can say, but there's no guarantee to the marks.
I don't know anyone who has come here because generally if you're winning a gold medal for India, you're directly appointed to a lot of things. You don't give the UPSC exam after that.
Almost the best state services you'll anyways be appointed to.
So generally that happens. So now if a candidate ये वाला हो गया. Where can we see the roster for a particular state? Where are the vacancies? That is not public information. That does not come out. That is something.
That's an internal communication between Department of Personnel and Training and various states. Various states do give their we are facing
a light out.
outage. It should be fine in a minute. So, anyways, state gives their preferences that okay, we have these many seats are required for IAS, IPS, and there is a fixed quota for every state. Every state has been assigned number of IAS, IPS seats. They are usually not filled, and even the preferences given by the state for that particular year is also at times taken in consideration. At times, no, they're not.
So, motivational hub has asked, I've played cricket at division level. Will it benefit me? Yes, if you write it in your hobbies, if you write the achievements that you've made over there, will definitely
yes, it will benefit
you. And this is a genuine question. I have watching movie as a hobby. Is it good or a bad hobby? Provided you're able to defend it, right? क्योंकि आपसे क्या सवाल पूछे जाएंगे? Who's your favorite director? उनकी कौन सी मूवी बढ़िया लगी? क्यों अच्छी लगी? तो इस तरीके के सवालों को आपको प्रिपेयर करके जाना है. हर चीज का एटलीस्ट हैव अ सेकंड और थर्ड डिग्री आंसर, कि हॉबी के ऊपर पहला सवाल के ऊपर दूसरा सवाल, यहां तक.
एंड बिगिन विद सिंपल क्वेश्चंस. व्हाट इज अ मूवी? Difference between feature film and movie. So begin with simple questions first and build up your
repertoire or your understanding of your hobby, because obviously if it's a hobby you will have encountered these things. ये सब चीजें आई होंगी कभी ना कभी सामने, right?
See, in learning I always believe there is a process of layering which takes place. You learn a thing and then you have some amount of confusion as soon as you learn, because then there are the questions which get start coming to you कि यार ये क्या होता है, ये क्या होता है, and then you build upon those questions and then you build upon those questions. So as you were saying कि at least दो surface second degree. So that is what second degree मेरे को अचानक से याद आया. Yes, that process of layering is very important. Yeah. आपको 2-3 layers build करनी है in that particular subject, domain, whatever the issue may be.
So Dishant has asked कि LASIK surgery on eyes, does it affect service allocation? So LASIK का टेस्ट करेंगे आपका. There is a medical test that happens immediately on the next day after the personality test. So they will check your eyes, they will shine if you have done LASIK, तो एक बार वो annual जो checkup होता है ना आपका, जो हर साल आपका चेकअप करते हैं, एक बार वो आई ड्रॉप डाल के pupil expand करके, so that is the same check that will happen over there.
They will check.
If there is no issue with it, then you will have no issue in service allocation, because I know people who have done LASIK and then been allocated to IPS, so there is no issue in it. Right. Query about educational detail which they asked during prelims form. Okay, please do. Someone mentioned singing, beatboxing. Can ask, if someone mentions singing and beatboxing as a hobby, will the board ask to sing in the PT?
They might.
Right.
Never know.
अगर आप बोल रहे हो कि भाई गाना पसंद है, but then again be comfortable about the fact कि you can say that I like singing in private.
Yeah.
I'm not very comfortable singing in public, तो अभी शायद इतना अच्छा ना परफॉर्म कर पाऊँ. So be comfortable with that कि मैं गाना पसंद करती हूँ, but अभी शायद ना हो पाए. Right. So won't they ask me reason for changing board? Like
so there's one thing, that your voice is soothing or great to hear or not, and are you in rhythm or not. You should know the basic of music and singing, and you should be able to practice and apply that. Whether your voice is whatever, it's fine, but it should not be that you're unable to know the basics of it.
Yeah, मतलब आपको rhythm नहीं पता, आपको meter नहीं पता, so then that's a very negative impression.
Right. That is like you're faking.
So I think Kaushik has asked, if individual is not allocated home cadre, then during the ongoing initial years of service, can a civil service appeal to change home cadre due to personal problems?
Cadre doesn't get changed because of personal problems. There is a specific policy. Though there is an interesting way to change cadre, which is cadre-based marriages. So you can try your luck, brother. That's it. And there are one or two other provisions, but it doesn't change on personal problems. Anyways, in life, nothing changes because of personal problems. You have to handle them and come out with grit and come over,
So Nilesh has asked, what about YouTube as a career if asked about it? Meaning, Are you like watching YouTube, or are you like becoming a content creator? What about YouTube? So ये अब अगर बोलते हो आप कुछ भी, it will be questioned. Now, Rajveer has asked UP or Gujarat, which is better? So, Rajveer, it depends completely on your preference. If you prefer a seaside state or, you know,
Yeah,
a
which is
riverside
better for
state.
what?
Better
For serving the nation. Both are great states. Both are part of India. Both have their unique features. There might be a preference. I'm not saying there will not be a preference. Some candidate might like that place and might have some affinity towards that place. So if you have that, then you should have some reason to it.
Exactly.
And that will be respected by the board. It's not that it wouldn't be. But you will be asked why. Why are you preferring this? Why is zone 1 and why your zone 1 in Cadre, the state 1 is preferred? Which state is preferred? Why the particular state is least? So those questions will be asked. Why not?
So what you can simply do in such a case, in when you're trying to decide which is better, is कि भाई आप UP का maybe economic profile देखो. So UP will have a different economic profile from Gujarat. Gujarat is a more industrialized state. UP is slightly not as industrialized as Gujarat. So economic differences wo hai. Then obviously the social differences are there. So understand that any cadre that you choose, if you have a 30-year service, 20 साल आप अपने cadre वाले state में रहोगे. अगर आपको गुजराती culture पसंद है, it is much better for you to choose the Gujarat cadre before the UP cadre.
Yes.
Right? So better is very very subjective. आपको क्या चीज पसंद है, आपका क्या preference है, that is what.
Three basic things will be socio-economic profile, geographical location, and which will engulf climate, zone, this, that, forest, and then third will be the linguistic factors. Now these three we can branch out and we can say that they are these three verticals.
Major criteria for choosing any cadre. Right.
They can be more. I'm just giving a simpler way to assess कि okay आप खुद भी assess कर सकते हैं कि भाई मैं ये क्यों choose कर रहा हूँ या मेरी preference क्यों है, right?
So Akash says, I would integrated MSc. My degree is MSc. They ask what is your percentage marks in graduation. You can simply say that I've done an integrated degree and this is my final score.
Now integrated courses are a very common thing in India. This used to be a problem 10 years back. Now that's not an issue. You can simply say that my graduation and postgrad was an integrated course having this much percentages. That's it.
So Mohammed Suhail has asked, is it necessary to wear a coat pant in the interview? You have to wear formals.
Coat pant is not necessary.
Coat pant is not necessary. You have to wear formals. तो अब formal में आप formal shirt with tie and pant पहन के जा रहे हो, उसके ऊपर coat पहना है नहीं पहना है, that's completely up to you.
Also see, with your body type, with your structure, with your personality, there are different dresses which suits you more. So you have to see that. And colors. Don't wear any fancy tie and
मतलब वहाँ शादी
shining
वाला पहन के मत जाना. That's it. And I think it's giving an option between Gujarat and UP because UP is politically charged and IAS officers are being restricted, which might not be the case for Gujarat.
Okay.
So Gujarat, if you're doing good work, you will still be very well respected. It doesn't matter where you are. You do good work, you'll be respected. Right. So Karthik has been asking this quite a few times, that my permanent address is different from where I'm currently living. And I mentioned my home state as current residence state. So other two states are in North India. This.
I got it.
So in such a case, what would be the home cadre?
My permanent address state is different.
Let's take an example. Let's say your permanent address is from Tamil Nadu. You're currently staying in Bangalore. So what would be considered for the home cadre?
No. So for home cadre or for OBC purposes?
No, for home cadre.
Man, it's a very tricky question. Just read it again. My permanent address state is different from both my birth state and current residence state. How are you defining a permanent address to begin with? There should be some logic to it. No? I'm not getting the logic of the question itself. Why? Because how that permanent address state is getting decided by the chat.
Address is like this is the place that like the family owns or I own.
Exactly. So how that permanent address is getting decided? See, there is something called domicile. In every state has domicile policies. If you are a resident for 5 years, 6 years, you become a person from domicile in that particular state. So this thing which the person is deciding, Karthik is coming up with a notion that this is the permanent address. Then my question will be, how is he deciding that, first of all, to begin with? So the question itself has a little problem. That's why we are unable to give a specific answer.
But generally, the understanding is the domicile, wherever it is, that will be.
Can you just open that question?
Yes. The question is slightly confusing. That is fine, but
my home state as current residence state. If your current residence state and home birth state are different, then why? How can you say that both are same? Hey man, don't quiz us with some kind of flimsy question.
Edge cases.
Just joking. Don't, no offenses, Karthik. My permanent state is different. That's fine. I mentioned my home state as current residence state. Well, the other two states are in North India. But if your permanent address, so again the question will remain same. Birth state, Uttarakhand. How are you deciding your permanent address? Some house is built, some Aadhaar card is issued. What?
Okay.
Voter ID and Aadhaar card. You are a resident of Uttar Pradesh then. Fine. Finished. Done.
So home cadre is UP. Narendra has a question.
It's like, somebody's parents had gone to UK and you appeared there, like, all of a sudden you're there, and the birthplace was London. Then you studied at a particular another place, then you went for college graduation in New York, and then you came back. But your ID and voter ID, and you are a resident of India, and all of that is from state A. So leave all that nonsense. You are from state A. That's it. Simple. No confusion. So
Narendra has asked, what is the land ceiling limit in UP? So
good question, Narendra, because it's important for OBC purposes. But land ceiling, there are so many states. So neither can I nor anybody can keep that by hearted. There are land ceiling. You can simply Google Land Ceiling Act UP. You will find two kind of ceiling limits: one for irrigated and one for unirrigated land. Both the limits will be there. Both are relevant for OBC creamy layer purposes.
Arman has asked, what if I'm unable to answer question from my graduation subject? Will it impact my personality test? Depends. Again, like for instance, जैसे अगर मैं civil engineer हूँ, मेरे से पूछा जाता है कि vertical load, horizontal load में क्या फर्क होता है, तो ये इतना बेसिक सवाल है कि shear wall क्या है, इतना बेसिक सवाल है. अगर इसका जवाब मैं नहीं दे पाया, so then that is something shows me in a negative light. But if they ask me कि भाई bridge का design कैसा होता है, so I can simply say that it is a technical detail. I am not in touch with the subject. It's been a while.
So let's answer it in this way. No single question will affect the whole interview in toto. Even if you have fumbled for some basic question, then also you can cover up in rest of interview.
Yeah.
But a fumble will remain a fumble 100%. How bigger harm it can do, nobody can tell that, because that will depend on the rest of your kind of responses in the other part of your PT. Suppose you have been an excellent person in the PT and somehow you fumbled at one question. That one question should be so bad that, if you should come up and say that, sir, I want to help enemy states of India. Something of that blatancy you should come up with. Then only you can screw up, and then only that one question will screw up the whole of thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it won't. An innocent fumble will remain an innocent fumble. It will harm you, but how much, nobody can tell.
So, Pawan has said, I'm interested in tech and running a tech YouTube channel which is related to mobile and laptop reviews. So, you can talk about that. They'll ask you, which is the best mobile to have. Maybe they want mobile recommendations. Simply put,
since guy from Ajmer, one of the famous Guruji or something.
Technical Guruji.
Yeah. So, he's the guy to ask this question.
So, like leaving that aside, there are multiple other channels that are popular nowadays. But once this has become a hobby for you, this is something that you're regularly doing. So they'll ask you, what are the technical details? Like, what is the most important metric for you for a video? How do you measure the success of a video? What is the ideal length of a video? How do you decide what is the ideal length? What is the ideal post? They can ask you technical details relating to your hobby if they're interested, if they know. So since you're doing this, you can talk about it, you can mention it. So Fennel has asked, how can flat feet affect service allocation? So if you have flat feet, so you won't get, I think, जो technical services होता है.
There's a few of the technical services you are
Won't
not
be eligible
eligible. And it's, believe me, my personal opinion is it's very strange, because there have been athletes with flat foot and they've been winning accolades and they've won medals and everything is fine. But here in India, we have the civil services. This is just, what should I say, British legacy which we are carrying, and we should get rid of it. But that's my personal opinion. Rules say that you will be, not eligible for particular few of the services. It will affect.
So Karthik has asked, can I mention the merit MCM scholarship of IIT in prizes section? So prizes पे मत लिखो इसको. I think scholastic achievements वाला चीज में आप लिख सकते हो definitely.
Having a proof or a certificate of what you have won genuinely is not required. Nobody is asking it.
And you should definitely write MCM, because obviously for MCM you had to also maintain a certain GPA. मतलब बहुत ज़्यादा GPA नहीं होती थी वो, but maintain आपको करके रखनी पड़ती थी. So you should write it.
A gap in degree. Gap in degree means that
extended year doesn't matter at all. आपको defend करना आना चाहिए बस.
That's it. What was the reason for fallout for that year? It might be a trip abroad. It might be not studying. It might be medical reasons. Whatever. You should simply say whatever it is.
फेल हो गए थे तो at least
okay.
ये बात आपको बतानी
presentable way में आपको बतानी है. It's good to fail. Then only you learn, and then only you know what is success.
And if I have to give an example, I think Gaurav Agarwal, who was rank 1 in 2013, so he did a 4-year degree in 5 years. Then he went on to do an MBA, where then he went on to do an investment banking job. And ये सब करने के बाद he appeared for UPSC, he got selected for IPS. Then
so, just going back 5-7 years, drop was a very normal thing in Indian education system. Almost everybody used to drop and go to quota or study for prepare for IIT and PMT or like doctoral or engineering entrance exams. That's fine. Doesn't matter. You should tell what it is, and you should be able to define it, justify it, whatever.
I used to watch Hindi songs. And can I fill that in DAF? So definitely you can fill that in
Not
DAF.
as habit. There's nothing called habit in DAF to begin with.
Sorry. Hobbies.
Who
and which will be interviewing us before exam? I mean, at least an hour before. Yes, an hour before you'll know. Basically, what happens is, I'll tell you a little bit about what happens
on the D-Day.
On the day of the interview. Let's say you're in the morning session. तो morning session में क्या होगा? आपको 9 बजे बुला लिया जाएगा UPSC में, which is जगह का नाम था ढोलपुर हाउस. So ढोलपुर हाउस में आपको 9 बजे बुला लिया जाएगा. 10 साढ़े 10 से इंटरव्यूज शुरू होंगे. शुरू के 1 घंटे में आपको सबको एक जगह बिठाया जाएगा. आपके डॉक्यूमेंट्स वेरीफाई किए जाएंगे. आपको नंबर्स असाइन किए जाएंगे किस ऑर्डर में आप लोग इंटरव्यू देने जाएंगे. राइट. सो टिल देन यू नॉट वेरी श्योर अबाउट कि आपका कौन सा बोर्ड है, क्या है. बट जब पहले दूसरे लोग तीसरे, अब क्या होता है कि द पीपल जो वेटिंग रूम से बाहर निकल के इंटरव्यू देने जाते हैं, वो वेटिंग रूम में फिर वापस नहीं आते. वो वहीं से ढोलपुर हाउस एग्जिट करके दैट्स इट, दे आर डन फॉर द डे. उनको एक मेडिकल टेस्ट के लिए असाइन हो जाता है हॉस्पिटल से. ढोलपुर हाउस एग्जिट करके दैट्स इट, दे आर डन फॉर द डे. उनको एक मेडिकल टेस्ट के लिए असाइन हो जाता है हॉस्पिटल, जहाँ पे उनको कल रिपोर्ट करना होता है. एंड वी हैव लॉस्ट लाइट अगेन, बट
इट्स कम अगेन.
जहाँ पे उनको कल रिपोर्ट करना होता है. एंड वी हैव लॉस्ट लाइट अगेन, बट
इट्स कम अगेन.
सो
electricity issues in Haryana.
So what happens is कि जब पहले दूसरे लोग आपके उस बोर्ड में चले जाते हैं, so then by that time you start to get an idea about कि आपका कौन सा बोर्ड असाइन हुआ है. And on that note, I'll simply say कि you don't have to be very worried about कि आपका बोर्ड कौन सा है. A lot of people do this, which is also something that I was discussing with Giri the other day, कि a lot of people prepare on the basis of कि कौन सा board है. You know, if this board, then I should answer this way. If that board, then I should talk about these things.
No, don't go with that.
Don't do that. क्यों? क्योंकि आप जबरदस्ती वो कुछ कोशिश करोगे तो वो कहीं ना कहीं आपको हर्ट करेगी. Why? Because you're not being genuinely yourself.
That's an ability which gets developed after some 30-40 years of, I have seen from, because I come from the law background. So I have seen that few senior advocates used to prefer a particular way of speaking, or they used to, bend a little accordingly as per the saying, bend in a, any wrong way. What I'm saying is they used to change their skill set of delivery, of speaking, of diction, whatever. But that is a very difficult thing.
Very
You
difficult.
can't prejudge a person, a board, a bench, or whatever, and then speak accordingly. Even if you do that, you have to stick to the facts. The question will remain, the answer will remain. So, and you'll have to answer the question in whatever way it is, right? This is a very, very tough thing to prejudge, to research a person and accordingly kind of, build that rapport psychologically. Very, very difficult art. Why to go in that difficulty kind of proposition, which is very, untenable to achieve, right?
So, do they create challenging environment for aspirants? It depends on you. I would say simply depends on you. There is no challenging environment.
Not at all.
Because I've heard things like Basi sir used to be chairman of one of the boards, and Basi sir used to be the commissioner of police in Delhi. So, he's got that bombastic personality. So, what I heard from one of the stories about his board was that the guy entered, Basi sir is sitting with his legs folded on the table.
No.
And, well, that's a story that I heard, right? He's sitting like that. And the guy comes in and sits in front. The candidate comes and sits in front. And Basi sir, like very relaxed manner, he's like कि मुझे पता है तू क्यों आया है, तू पैसा खाने आया है. अब
you can be put to a stress test. Why not? That is how it is. You can be put to a situational test.
वही कि it's very beautiful how the guy responded, because that's why it's an interesting story. The guy simply said, ना खाऊंगा ना खाने दूंगा. तो भाई स्ट्रेस आपको लेना है तो भाई बहुत स्ट्रेसफुल सिचुएशन है ये, बिकॉज़ द वेरी डायरेक्ट, वेरी कन्फ्रंटिंग, वेरी एडवर्सेरियल क्वेश्चन. आपने लिया ही नहीं उस मैनर में तो भाई खत्म. दैट्स इट, डन. ही इज आल्सो
you should know how to come out of a tricky spot if you are put into. That's it.
प्रेजेंस ऑफ माइंड इसलिए पर्सनालिटी टेस्ट के लिए इट्स अ वेरी वेरी एसेंशियल थिंग टू हैव. क्यों? क्योंकि अनएक्सपेक्टेड सिचुएशंस होंगी.
And to put it simply, how to have a grip over presence of mind. Remain simple, be yourself. Just whatever you are, whatever your strength is, remain that. Play on your strengths. Nobody is perfect. Nobody can be.
So Karthik has Saurabh has asked, my hobby is doing exercise, but I'm not aware about the technicalities, and not a single time I go to the gym. But desi exercise I have to do in my home, and how mentioned. So what are the kinds of exercises that you're doing? Are you doing दंड बैठक या मतलब क्या कर रहे हो? उसके बारे में थोड़ा डिटेल में लिखो. Or you can simply say, I like physical activity. किस जिम नहीं जा रहे, fine. But ये देखो, जो भी कुछ कर रहे हो, अगर आप पुशअप भी कर रहे हो, सिंपल, अगर सिर्फ एक एक्सरसाइज करते हो ना, साल भर तक सिर्फ पुशअप भी करोगे, you will yourself know a lot of things about push-up. Is it better to have a wide angle, or is it better to have your elbow closer to the body? Which are the muscles that are activated? So that is what they want to check when you write a hobby. कि जो किया है उस पे ध्यान भी दिया है, और इतना आपको खुद से आ जाएगा अगर आपने वो हॉबी करी है. So
hobby will teach you.
The hobby will teach you.
Any activity will. Any repetitive activity will teach you. And especially when the repetitive activity you're in love with. That's what is hobby, right?
So Ravindra has asked, if the salary is not taken into account, then I still have to update the income certificate every year, right?
No, not. OBC certificate is based on last 3 consecutive years income set. And that is how it is. You need not update it every year.
R. Pawan has asked, plus 1.5 eyesight. So R. Pawan, you can check out the technical eligibility. I don't think 1.5 is, you'll still be eligible.
Distance education is not a problem. It's fine. We've already answered that in the earlier part.
Every year, 1,000 to 1,500 people are clearing mains. This year it's 1,800. See, generally, a very, very simple criteria for you to understand the numbers is work backwards. If there are 800 vacancies, 2,400 people will be selected for interview. If you have to select 2,400 people for interview, 10,000 people will be selected for mains. So no matter how many people are giving prelims, the number of people who will give mains and the number of people who will give interview will be finally determined by the number of vacancies that there are in any year.
See, we are trying to answer maximum questions, but still we'll slip off few. So do excuse us, because we are focusing primarily or prima facie on the PT, right?
Cool. I think, can I mention a foreign internship?
Yes, you can.
Definitely you should. Provided that you're willing to share some details about what you
Also,
did there.
whatever you mention will obviously create a demand of question on it. The more the info, the more the questions will be. Not a problem if you are up with that.
So I think
That's fine, I guess.
mostly we've covered a lot of aspects about. We've been talking a lot about hobbies though. So uh, do, do they ask opinion on subjudice or political matter? So they can ask your opinion on anything that catches their fancy.
They can, they might.
They can, because if it's something in national interest, if it's something of, if it's something in news, they can ask you. So how do you answer such questions? Very simply, go with your values. If you are not sure about your values, go with constitutional values. Liberty, equality.
That's the good way to.
Basic. अगर आपको क्लैरिटी नहीं है कि आप कहाँ स्टैंड करते हो, तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वैल्यूज इज अ गुड गाइड फॉर यू टू डेवलप. Right, so I think
I guess we've covered
a lot of things. Average DAF create a negative impact on the board, or can we manufacture something? So Dexter, what you have to understand is कि बोर्ड का एक एक मेंबर को 35 साल का एक्सपीरियंस है. वैसे दूर से देख के पहचान लेते हैं कि कौन फट्टे मार रहा है, right? Because it's very visible.
And what is an average DAF?
Every DAF is an average DAF.
Every DAF is an average DAF. What? There's nothing called average DAF, good DAF, excellent DAF, poor DAF.
And Ankita was asked, if I choose English as the medium, what if I speak Hindi? You'll be comfortable is what is the point here. They'll prefer if you speak in English constantly, but जैसे हम भी बीच-बीच में हिंदी में switch कर रहे हैं, just for the sake of explaining, it's okay. Merchant Navy dropped in between as I realized it's not for me. Okay, Rajneesh. I think Rajneesh has a question just above. But dropped as I realized engineering isn't my cup of tea. What should I tell board? That's fine.
What you're telling us, that is exactly what you should tell the board, because that is the honest answer.
Right.
Then the question might arise. So you should prepare for the secondary questions. How you realized, when the realization occurred, why at first place you joined, were you in some parental pressure, whatever.
So R. Pavan has asked, I'm a civil engineer. If the board asked me why you decided to enter UPSC and why not continue in civil engineering, so this is one of the most basic questions that everybody has to prepare for. Why are you doing UPSC? And the more unique or personal your answer is, meaning your answer should reflect who you are. Why did you choose it? You can be very honest. It has better job prospects. You could say that you wanted to get into administration. You could say that it has social prestige. You can say n number of things. You can also, do the cliche thing. You're like, I want to serve the nation, but then you can also be clear about how do you want to serve the nation. So make it unique, make it personal, make it something. Why did you actually decide? Think about it, and that if you go with the honest answer, that is the best.
Let me answer the OBC chap. Ravindra, you are eligible for OBC NCL center exams for education and recruitment, and for UPSC Civil Service also. Don't worry. Even if they have written 9 lakhs, it's okay. That doesn't matter. But in Haryana, you might not be eligible. There is a sub judice case which is going with regards to Haryana's creamy layer for state services and state educational institutes.
Ankita, there is a preferred body language and it is called a formal body language. That's it. फॉर्मल सिचुएशंस में जैसे भी जो भी आप बिहेव करते हो उसी तरीके से आपको बिहेव करना है. वहां पे जाके आप डांस करने लग जाओगे तो दैट इज ऑब्वियसली नॉट अ ग्रेट थिंग टू डू, but you can obviously use hand gestures to explain something that
not
is
a problem. To what is, see again, whenever we are writing these too much, what is too much? Who will decide that degree? So it's fine. A little bit of hand movement, gestures, eye contact, all of that is okay.
Okay, so
see, these are those questions which in themselves require more time to explain. So a solution to it is, as you were saying, people can just,
yeah, obviously. So if you are interested in getting a detailed DAF analysis and want to discuss how you want to write your hobbies with either of us, you can fill in the form at in the video description, and we can take it up from there. And I think we'll end the session. It's been an hour. मेरा थोड़ा गला बैठने लग गया है.
We had thought of a half an hour session,
Yeah.
but yeah, engagement was great, and though we have tried to answer as many queries as we can, still do excuses for skipping few questions inadvertently. We are not wantedly doing it.
And I would request please everyone to like this video so that others can also know and figure out if some of their questions are being answered over here. And upload recommendation letter of an unpaid research internship in DAF-II. I failed to mention this internship in DAF-I section of WorkX. Internship, Karthik, I think
you can upload. It's fine. You can upload as WorkX, not an issue. Not an issue. Internship can be, because there can be longer internships and all.
Fair enough. I think what Karthik is doing, he has a foreign intern which he's trying to put in DAF-II now. So, मतलब एक बार ऐसा करो यार, मतलब just show it to me is best what I can say. बाकी most likely you should be able to do it. That is fine. यश कुमार का क्या question है? There is political pressure, so due to this, IS cannot make his personal views. अब आपके personal view भी political हैं, तो भाई मतलब definitely कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वैल्यूज के उल्लंघन में तो आप नहीं जा सकते हो. आप कहीं इंटरव्यू में किसी भी सिचुएशन में जाके ये बोलोगे कि नहीं जी हम रिलीजियस फ्रीडम किसी को नहीं देंगे या हम भाई मतलब सबको जेल कर देंगे, तो भाई नेचुरली दैट विल बी नेगेटिव.
And I will call that kind of view is not even political. It's an extreme view.
Yeah.
Going against our constitutional ethos.
So constitution should be the basis of your values. If you are not very clear about what your values are, if you're clear about what your values are, lead with them, provided they're not extreme. Ashu, stand-up comedy is absolutely fine. I love it too.
And they might ask to perform then. Be ready for it.
So that's it for this stream, and thank you all for joining. I hope you learned something, gained something. If you have any friends who are appearing for civil services, India only different from foreign internships.
Failure is fine, Shivam. Just let board know the reason how you failed and why you failed. That's it. Not an issue. A lot of people have failed. Failing is not an issue. Rising up every time you fail and encountering and handling the situation is what matters.
Karthik, what you can do is send me a mail at abhijit@upscprep.com and just show it to me, because if you're asking so insistently ki hai nahi hai kya hai, I'm not really sure about what to say anymore, because most likely you should be able to do it. It's fine.
Both of our IDs, so any of ID they can contact, whatever.
Send it to both either.
Avoid that, Ankita.
Ankita, don't criticize the government.
And there wouldn't be an opportunity to do that. So why are you thinking? Why are you imagining a question?
If you have multiple degrees, you should definitely mention them. That's a good thing, right? Because that shows that you have multiple interests, you did multiple things, but then you'll get answers from multiple angles, so be prepared. Right, so thank you all for joining, and have fun, and padhai karte raho. Best of luck.
Face it as it comes. There should be no apprehension at all. It's just a conversation which happens, right? आप जाओगे इंटरव्यू का बोर्ड होगा, कुछ लोग होंगे अंकल एंड आंटीज एंड वी विल बी कन्वर्सिंग विद देम. दैट्स इट. Whatever you've learned until now is enough. It's more than enough. And you all are there in top 2000 of India, right? You all deserve those ranks. All the best.
Thank you.